Hello and good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today for the Mentor Power Hour session with Riot Games. My name is Cassie Manning. I am a Partner Success Manager for the RISE program here at the Mom Project, and I am so excited to be filling in as moderator for Elizabeth Shackelford, who is on maternity leave at this time. And we are going to have a great conversation today with Jeani Kearney, who is the Chief of Staff to Riot Games Chief People Officer. A little bit about Jeani. Jeani oversees all global talent-related programs and initiatives, from talent acquisition and total rewards, talent development, HR business partnerships, and HR operations and systems. And prior to joining Riot, Jeani developed her HR career in employee experience and engagement, and is currently excited about helping to develop some of Riot Games' unique opportunities. Even bigger than that, Jeani is currently in the thick of it with her 13-month-old twins, Cece and Mia, and a rambunctious 3-year-old Jack. She never knew she had it in her to manage 3 kids, a home, and a full-time job, and is trying very hard to give herself grace and rest when she needs it, because we know this is hard. She firmly believes that her career and ability to be a working mom is due to the kindness and support of other moms and those that really see the incredible value moms bring to the table. Welcome, Jeani. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Cassie. I'm so sorry. The gardener just showed up, and I feel like, can you hear it? Okay, I'm like, the gardener just popped up out of nowhere.
This is life. This is balancing a home and a job and kids, right?
And
there's no better way to start this off.
Right.
But before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is recorded and it will be emailed out in the next 24 hours to all of our registered attendees today. Additionally, if you have questions, please leave them in the chat. We will leave some time at the end of the discussion to answer those. But let's jump in. I love your bio. That's such a great background on you. But can you tell us a little bit more about yourself personally and professionally?
Sure. So I am the Chief of Staff to our Chief People Officer at Riot, as you know. As you mentioned, our Chief People Officer is Emily Winkle. I've worked with her for quite some time now, but I've been working in HR for about 8 years, mostly in employee engagement and people programs. But I actually started in HR working as an executive assistant because I had like a small stint working as an executive assistant to C-suite executives. And then I also did some time in professional event planning, which was really fun. But I have a really deep interest in learning and development, especially when it comes to leadership development. And I have a very deep passion for advocating and making sure that our parents are seen, especially moms, especially after becoming a mom in the last few years. And I guess one unique fact about me is that I am an identical twin. And both me and my identical twin sister had a set of fraternal twin girls. So we have a lot of twins in our family.
That is crazy. I really don't know how you do it with 13-month-old twins and a 3-year-old. I have one 4-year-old and I'm barely keeping it together. So that's incredibly impressive. But for our audience that don't know a lot about Riot Games, can you tell us more about what it is, what the company does? Just give us a little background on what it's all about.
Sure. Riot Games is the most player-focused game developer and publisher in the world. You may have heard, or you may be a player of one of our games, our debut game being our League of Legends, which is over 10 years old now. But recently we came out with a bunch of new games. We have Valorant, Team Fight Tactics, Legends of Runeterra, we have Wild Rift. And if you haven't interacted with our IP through games, we also have had an opportunity to get people to really get engaged with our IP through our animated Emmy Award-winning series called Arcane. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch it on Netflix. Really great show. And yeah, we're global and we're about, I would say, 3,500 people across the globe.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah, I had not personally heard of Riot Games, and I mentioned it to my husband, who was a big gamer, and he was like, I know those games. I know what those are. That's cool. I got like really cool points because I was getting to talk to you today about Riot Games. But, we touched on in your bio diversity and inclusion and representation. So how does Riot Games ensure diverse representation and career opportunities for women of color, and then, of course, most especially, moms?
Yeah, I think that before diving into how we do it when it comes to programs or initiatives. I think the core is really just being able to recognize that having a range of experiences, perspectives, and backgrounds is crucial, vital, a superpower for Riot to be able to level up and continue to grow. And so when we are able to have that belief in the way that we operate and think and make decisions, it leads us to being able to make some really impactful decisions, especially when it comes to an industry that is predominantly male. And so I think being able to believe that that is a superpower has led us to make decisions like being able to build the largest DE&I team, not only in gaming, but of any company our size. And when you have a team that big, it leads us to being able to have resources, especially dedicated to our talent acquisition team, which then leads us to be able to create more diverse pipelines by partnering with communities like the Mom Project to be able to get our opportunities out in front of folks that may not know about Riot Games.
Yeah, that is so important. I think what you're really talking about is that diversity and inclusion is woven into every cultural decision that Riot Games makes. And that is so important. It can't just be in one aspect of the company, right, to actually make it work. So I love that. So this is obviously the Mentor Power Hour. So we have to ask, how has mentorship impacted your career? And like, what role has a mentor played in your path?
Yeah. I mean, it's been huge. I think the only reason I would have found myself at a gaming company, I play games. I love Catan. I love crosswords. I'm an avid puzzler, right? But I actually had not heard of Riot Games when I first started. And then when I realized this world of gaming, and especially just like the acclaim of League of Legends, was pretty shocking. But I found out about Riot Games through my mentor, who I had mentioned earlier is our Chief People Officer, Emily Winkle. You know, I met her 3 jobs ago, and we've been working together since. And her mentorship has meant so much to me, not just by way of being able to hone my craft, which is HR, but really to be able to understand my place in the workplace as first a woman, and then as, you know, someone that was looking to start a family, then a person that had, you know, this experience of becoming a new mom, and then this experience of just being a mom of multiple children, right? And so I think that has been I've been really fortunate in that way. It's funny though, I actually really, when I was thinking about finding a mentor, had thought to myself, oh, I just need to find someone that's like really good on paper, has a super impressive resume. And I lucked out because that person ended up being Emily, who was this like rising star in HR.
Right.
But I never felt intimidated by that. She would ask me, so like, you know, can I ask, like, what are you guys thinking? Are you guys thinking about starting a family? And I think this is a very common experience for a lot of people. Like, you can't really talk about starting a family because maybe that makes you seem like you're not super serious.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember like even having that conversation with a colleague of mine, and we were whispering. And then we were like, we should just leave the building. Like, let's talk about what this means for our lives and starting this like just leaving the building. So it's like really shocking for me to have someone just ask me like, oh, I want to know about you. I want to know, are you guys thinking about starting a family? And in a way that felt like she was excited for me versus like feeling around to say like, could I give this person serious projects, you know?
Yeah. So many women have that shared experience, myself included, of like that negative connotation of like, oh, you're a mom, like, okay, you know,
or you're about to start a family.
Yeah, like that, but it's like it's a questioning side eye. It's nobody's excited for you. So that is life-changing when you surround yourself with people who feel differently about it. But really kind of leads me into my next question of like, what advice do you give for somebody who's looking to get involved in a mentorship relationship, mentor or mentee? Like, how do we best facilitate those kind of relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was probably steering a little bit more away from my original understanding of what a mentorship was, which was like someone that was going to help me like understand this craft. And, you know, I thought I was going to learn all this HR policy and frameworks and acronyms. I think I even like saw myself being overly eager to understand these things. And Emily was like, we're going to get there, right? And we did. We did, right? Like, you just work in a certain field for a certain amount of time, you end up getting there. But that like the mentorship, the value in it really is in being able to have a deep relationship with a person that has been there before you, right? And it's not just about the work, right? It's about has been there before you in life and understands some of the kind of trials and challenges of it. And so when looking for a mentor, like I think the biggest qualifier is, can you be real with this person? Like, will you let that person see you? Because I think there's a lot, and we had mentioned, you know, what we talked about earlier was you don't want people to know you're going to start a family. And then when you become a mom, you don't want people to know that it's really stinking hard and that, yeah, okay, fine, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do this presentation and I'm going to kick butt, that I didn't get any sleep last night. But nobody, you don't want anyone to know that. So then like all of a sudden you're participating in this weird like employee/mom theater, right? Where you're like, this isn't hard, but it is so hard.
Yeah.
And there's a part of mentorship that like the most powerful thing is that someone can see how hard that is for you. And they help you be able to understand how to get yourself out of it being so difficult.
Yeah.
And that's scary. It's scary to be able to say like, you know, I've had to tell Emily that I'm just tired. Like my kids have been sick consecutively for however many, and I know that I've been out because they've been sick, but I'm exhausted now and I have like zero gas in my tank and I just need to take like a day or two off.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of, I don't know, it just takes a lot of just like grit to be able to say that.
Yeah. It's so true. And at the Mom Talk Project, we talk a lot about authenticity. So being able to bring your whole self to what you're doing. And so I think, you know, when you're talking about this mentorship relationship and finding maybe the right person to have that relationship with, it's about like, can you be authentic with them? All of yourself, personally and professionally. Like, do they look at you funny when you say that you're exhausted because you've had twins that were up all night, you know, sick? Because these kids are always sick, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that. We talk about authenticity a lot. So you're really driving that home with that point. So let's talk about working parent life at Riot Games. So, you know, lay out for me some of the policies, the benefits, what flexibility do, you know, you offer to working parents to make work-life integration happen for them?
Yeah. Well, first off, I think I really had firsthand experience about what parenting is or felt like, or being a parent felt like at Riot, because I actually started at Riot 7.5 months pregnant, which is just a weird time to start a new job. You know, I'm not hiding it. I look like I was gonna like deliver any day now. But you know, like, and I think it goes back to that thing, like, you know, where it was like, oh, what does Riot do to make sure that we create diverse, you know, communities and give opportunities to everyone? But it does start with the belief. And the belief, I think, in many ways is that like Rioters are parents, right? And so it's not just because we give, you know, offer benefits for parents. It's because I see our CEO, Nicolo, on an all company call and his kid just walk through the room in the background, or he has to pause the call. You know, where I'm on a call with the, you know, my boss, who has to say, hold on 1 second. She just came back from camp and I haven't seen her all day, you know, all week.
Yeah.
When you see parents and you see that parenting is not something that you need to like shun away or that you have to pretend doesn't exist, it really opens up the conversations around what we need as parents. And I think a lot of our benefits kind of took that approach. And so I had to actually write them down because we just have so many benefits for our parents. I've worked in tech a lot, and I was actually quite shocked with kind of what Riot had prepared for parents and for mothers, especially postpartum. But we have we have fertility, adoption, and surrogacy support. So truly believing that pre-parent is part of the journey. I myself had a really long pre-parent journey. I'm going through 3 years of IVF. Like, okay, I don't have kids, but going through the IVF journey is an incredibly like long and labor intensive process. And so being able to recognize that that's part of the parenting journey was super amazing. We have 2 weeks off. This just happened and I'm so excited to hear about it. 2 weeks off before our due date. So without a doctor's note, just to prepare, just to get ready.
That's life-changing.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, people may not know that until you've walked that walk and been that pregnant person who's 2 weeks out from giving birth. But those are hard weeks. So that's just a life-changing benefit that literally just makes quality of life, so much better for that person. And that, that's crazy. That's a crazy great benefit. I love that.
Like it gives you 2 weeks to be able to get the nursery ready or pack that hospital bag instead of like try to shoot out all the emails you possibly can.
Or just lay down with your feet up, which is all I wanted to do in the last 2 weeks.
Right. We have 6 to 8 weeks of postpartum disability, 100% paid by Riot, so you don't have to go through the state for that. And then we have 12 weeks bonding for all new parents, including adoption and foster. We have flexible return to work, so you can take those 12 weeks any way that you want. Say you just want a couple weeks there, a couple weeks here. I think a lot of our dads take that and kind of like space it out as needed to be most supportive to mom as well. And then when I saw this, that they had offered it, I was like, okay, yeah, this sounds pretty cool. There's an app called Maven. It's a service called Maven. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is an all-around maternity support, including breast milk shipping. But the one I used it for was that you had 24-hour on-the-call lactation consultant support, pediatrician, OB, return to work, sleep specialists, and it's paid for an entire year that you have access to that for an entire year. And you don't have to pay for any of the services, right? It pays for all of them. You just have to have a phone or a computer to be able to access these people, which was really amazing. Our lactation rooms are basically a spa. They had just redone them. And when I came back, I had to send our folks that had put it together a note. I honestly felt so welcome back. I felt like they wanted me there. You forget anything from your pump stuff, it's there. You don't have to worry. They have everything. All you have to do is bring yourself in, and they made it into a spa, and like the lights go dim, and they just make it so that they are showing that. I feel like Riot was showing me that it's what I'm doing in there is just as important as what I'm doing at my desk.
Well, and I love how you said, like, I was really wanted there. They wanted me there in any form, as a new mom, as a non-parent, like they really wanted you there.
We have Riotlings Day, which is our day of bringing our Riotlings, our kids, to the office. And there's a whole like setup and really getting into, we take play very seriously at Riot as players and gamers. And so bringing our children into that as well. We have backup care subsidies for both on-site and in-home childcare, which I've used before, which is great. Like I'm in a pinch, my nanny, my mom, like every person that I could possibly tap is like completely tapped out. We do have 7 days worth of backup care that you can go through Brett Horizons, which is I think a lot of they have them nationwide. We have Rethink, which is support for parents with learning and behavioral challenges to be able to get that level of support. We have open PTO to use as you see fit. But on top of that, we also have our winter break around the holidays, and then we have 1 week summer break during the summer, just so that we know kids, get out of school at different times or whatever, but having that 1 week where the entire office shuts down and you're on vacation and you're not getting an email because no one is sending them is quite amazing. And then we just have flexible work schedules, generally speaking. So there's people that start at 11, there's people that start at 9, but it's just really being able to have that communication with your manager and your team to make sure that you have coverage across the team, but also being able to see what your needs are when it comes to schedule.
I think the theme through all of those benefits, especially as they relate to parents, is just letting the employee decide, having some autonomy over what works best for them, right? So you're not saying you get 12 weeks, which is still stellar, but you're saying, here's 12 weeks, use it how it works for you and your family. Start your day at the time that works for you and your family. Like sometimes greater than even having the benefit is making sure that the parameters around it are accessible, right? Like that they're accessible benefits that everybody can use to really make their day better, however that looks for them. Because it's not a one size fits all. So I love that theme throughout all of those benefits. That's really what I was hearing. You touched on this about the gaming industry is majority white male dominated sector, but many women, like of all diverse groups, are incredibly interested in the culture and passionate gamers and developers, or both. So how are you really ensuring that these underrepresented groups, parent or not, have access to job opportunities and get to learn about the gaming culture?
Well, I mean, I think one of the big ways is being able to partner with different organizations like the Mom Project to really start to bring people into understanding what Riot does and who Riot is.
Right.
But then also I think that there's like these feeder pipelines that need to exist. And one of them is our internship pipeline, really pulling in people to engage with gaming and tech, and really creating like a really diverse pipeline of technical talent. But then we also then go even deeper than that, and we have partnerships with organizations that go into communities to start to actually even bring gaming into the consciousness of young girls, right? And so we've teamed up with Black Girl Gamers as well as Code Coven, which is early education and being able to expose young girls to gaming, to the tech space, and to Riot. And so I think that, it's not just about even hitting our talent in the workforce right now, but even starting to spark the just understanding and inspiration and motivation around young girls, and saying like, yeah, I can see myself there, even if it is a male dominated area. And so I think really starting early on to help build careers is one of the big ways that we do it.
That's huge. Yeah. I mean, the representation of letting them know it exists, where they probably haven't, especially young girls haven't had the exposure to the gaming industry at all. That's incredibly cool, to the representation, right? You can't be what you can't see.
Right.
Yeah. Very much that. So obviously our population is a lot of working parents, and that's, probably the majority of who's listening in right now. They're all working, everyone's working towards various different career goals. What is your kind of parting advice or your general advice for working parents as they're navigating their career?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I'm doing it well. I hope I am. Like this week alone, Cassie, I'm struggling with making sure that I'm prioritizing the right things in life, right? Like when you have competing priorities, at work, and then you're part of this like magnificent developmental experiment that are your children. It's like, how do you balance that? And I remember there was this huge shift. Do you remember they used to say like, oh, I need to find work-life balance? And then there was like this shift that went to like work-life integration.
Yeah, because you'll never balance.
Right. You'll never balance.
It's a moving target you'll never reach.
Right. And then there was this integration where it's like, how do you make sure that things work for you? But then when we moved to really working from home, that integration got so crazy for me. Like, because now I've integrated the workspace as well and my schedule. And then I was like, wait, do I need to go back to balance? Like, where do I go now? But I mean, I think every day I just have to tell myself, listen, I'm just gonna do my best. I'm gonna try my best. And then I'm going to like give myself grace, because I'm not gonna make it every single day. And that's just the way it's gonna have to be. And that's gonna have to be enough. I think that's like, part of it is just giving yourself grace, because it's really, really tough and it's really hard. And there are competing priorities. And guess what? Some of my home priorities are just going to be always more important than the priorities that I have at work. And I think that if I could be honest with myself about that, that means I could be honest with the people at work about that. And then somehow some boundaries have been created. So I guess that's what it is. It's like, let's just own it. Like, yeah, we're parents,
Yeah, I do think that it's generally just understanding that it's incredibly hard. And there's no version of right. There's no one way that is right. Everybody is doing the best they can. And so I think there's a lot of loneliness in thinking that you're doing it wrong, like that somebody else has it together and you don't. And the truth is, nobody has it together like that, like all the time, right? Some days we're crushing it, but there's a lot of days where nobody's doing it, especially with little kids and work. It's a hot mess for everybody. It's kind of how I like to look at it. It makes me feel better, right?
Right.
Okay, so now we'll switch to some Q&A. I have one teed up already. Is Riot Games hiring? So what type of positions are available through the Mom Project? Because I know you're obviously working with us to hire a lot of great talent.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a link also that people can apply through the Mom Project, but we have a few positions open. We have a benefits analyst position open, a strategic finance associate, a financial analyst position, and a compensation partner. Half of these are in the people team. And I can say that working on the people team, I feel very supported as being a mother. So I really encourage folks to apply and get to know our team of really incredible parents and moms and parents to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, Courtney in the chat, she just dropped the link so people can check out those jobs directly on the Mom Project's website. Another thought. So as the chief of staff and a mom of 3, what is your most used productivity hack? I'm like, this is a 2-part question. And then what motivates you the most?
Okay, easy hack is that I actually schedule everything. Like everything. If I need to work on a project, I'll put it in my schedule, but I won't say like open time to work on things. I will literally say, I need this 15 minutes to be able to prep for the Mentor Power Hour with TMP, right? Like I will, so that has really helped me. And that was a parenting hack, right? Like
just give me 1 second. I cannot hear you. You may just need to change your settings real quick at the bottom of Hopin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do I have static?
No, you're good. You're perfect.
Good. So I schedule everything. And then the other productivity hack that really, really is hard for me, but I have seen it help so much, is when someone asks me if they can help me, I just
I love that. I love it. Take the help.
Yeah, I'm like, I just like my other productivity hack is like accept help.
I love that. I love that so much. And then second part, what motivates you the most?
What motivates me the most? I just feel like when I'm most authentic, I think that's what motivates me the most. When I feel like I can be myself and that people appreciate that, that like in a problem solving situation at work, that if I just bring up like, listen, this is how I fixed it for my kids, I don't know. And then when people see the value in that, then I feel like I have this wealth of information, like this untapped, resource that I can just share with the world. Like I get so pumped for that.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I think we have another question from the audience. We'll let that roll up on the screen. All right. From Donna, how is Riot Games addressing back to office? Remote work is so crucial for moms and having a more diverse workforce.
Yes. Well, we took a pretty strong stance, I think, in the beginning, especially when a lot of companies were going to fully remote. We do still very much believe that collaboration is really powerful when we are in person. So we have opened up a 1-3-1 schedule, which is remote Monday and Friday, work from home, but then in the office, or based on, your team's needs, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday's expectation. It's not like incredibly enforced. It is the kind of conversation that you have with your team and your managers, but we do truly believe in office collaboration as being super important. And so we are taking a flex schedule approach.
Okay, love it. Thank you. I think that's all the questions for today. This concludes today's session. Thank you so much, Jeani, for joining us. It was a pleasure talking with you. Everybody be on the lookout for this recording so you can watch it again and hear all those fabulous tidbits. But thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us, and have a fabulous rest of your day.
Great. Thank you.